What's up? Little tournament report. Recently got 5th place at a local league cup with my big black dragon. Boom. Hydreigon Pidgeot EX build. So, just wanted to kind of run through this because, dude, 5th place, way better than I was expecting. I was expecting to just brick, build a house, dip out, never even see cut, never have a chance. So I'll go through it in a sec, but I just wanted to say shout out. I was not the only one at the cup playing Hydreigon. There was one other guy. He was playing Hydreigon Zoroark, but I had played this list before. I was tempted to put a Devo in, but I ended up deciding not. I decided against it, and just I was gonna cut a counter gain for a Devo, and just ended up deciding to go full, run the same build that I ran on my challenge. So this list has been posted. I didn't want to post another short of the same list just because, hey, no changes, kind of just seems redundant, but might do it just as kind of a little, hey, come check out this video that I'm making, but whatever, just wanted to go through it. So here's how it went. Round one, ended up playing Joltik Boxed. I want to say I lost the flip and ended up, believe I lost the flip, ended up going first. I drew my first hand and I was like, it's a brick. I was like, we're done. We're chalked. But it ended up, I started Klefki. So low-key didn't really, I didn't realize it until like the second Joltik Box game I played. But it was best of one, so I'll get into the second Joltik Box here in a minute. But just wanted to go through and kind of like started Klefki. That went freaking huge. And I think, started Klefki, ended up top decking a Buddy turn one, so was able to get a board going pretty quick, threw out Pidgey, threw out Adino, and then went from there because, if I'm not going first, or if I'm not going second, I don't want to pull out Badoo, no reason. But opened Klefki, he ended up, he started Iron Hands, and then he goes Iron Hands, he pulls out, I think I don't know if he just had Latias in hand or if he nest balled, I don't remember exactly, but if he nest balled, obviously that was a mistake because you shouldn't nest ball for Latias because Latias is unusable. And I didn't even really take that into account. He did the retreat and then he's like, oh wait, I can't, you have Klefki. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, dude, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't even realize that. So ended up going big, gave me time to kind of set up, and then he put out Joltik. So he ended up starting those three, and then, he just kind of goes and starts setting up Iron Hands, and then ends up going into setting up Iron Hands, and then I really just kept Klefki active for a while until I think I ended up getting Hydreigon and Pidgeot. I want to say I got them both kind of set up. I ended up dropping Maractus at a point, but game was looking pretty rough. He ends up setting up, amping me twice. I believe he got one Pidgey early and took that. And then he goes and he ends up choosing my Maractus. It was like, does he want to go Pidgeot and just arm press for 2? Or does he want to amp Maractus for another for 2 as well? And so he ends up deciding on the Maractus. I guess just kind of like the thought is you get retreat locked and that could be an issue. But I was like, okay, cool. I was like, wasn't really worried. Whenever I finally... I think that was the big play because it really just allows me to kind of pick whatever I want. And then, if I don't have the pieces for Obsidian in hand, I can just get like a Crispin from my deck. I can get Neo Upper from my deck. I just can do whatever I want. But I end up going, I was like, my biggest fear was actually just the Joltik. So I end up crashing Headbutt on his Joltik for knockout. And so it was 5, I want to say it's either 5-3 at that point or 5-2. Or 5-4 or 5-2. But I wasn't worried because I was like, I don't want to do anything here to take the prize lead. I want to make sure I'm behind a little bit. And so I was like, if he's going to get it, he's going to get it. But I just wanted to get rid of any grass potential because I was like, grass is just the biggest fear of mine. But end up taking out that and end up just setting up Obsidian. I go Obsidian. And the other thing is, this was the real thing I thought was kind of odd. I was like, okay, you have Bravery Charm on Iron Hands. So it's not like taking out Maractus. It's not like even if you KO Maractus, you're not putting yourself in range of me to crashing Headbutt knockout Iron Hands. So, and that was kind of like what I saw. So I end up, that was kind of just a weird play because he ends up bossing up a Maractus rather than bossing up my Pidgeot and taking out that. And then I end up going I end up going obsidian 2 times per game. I think I hit Iron Hands twice. I hit Iron Hands, and then I hit Miraidon, and then I forget what the other one was. I think Latias. I go Latias. Those were the 3. Because ideally, I like to hit Latias in the active whenever I'm obsidianing, because boom, that's gone, and then I can do some damage, as well. But whatever, end up obsidian, taking a total of 7 prizes. Whoop, flex. So game 2, I end up playing Dragapult. I end up playing, talking to a guy not a guy I came with, but one of the homies, and he's like, keep on winning after round 1, and then we show up, and I'm like, oh, bro, it's you. I'm like, oh, damn. I was like, well, if I win, I was like, you told me keep on winning, so it's on you. And so we both end up making cuts, so it was all good. But he's just playing straight Pult. He kind of makes a weird play at one point. I just kind of get set up really fast, and then he decides he even told me, he's like, he plays the Genesect, but he had a tool in hand that he decided not to throw on the Genesect early enough, because then I just slap down my Neo Upper before the Genesect is even fully active with its ability going. So I was like, thankfully I could do that. But once again, just got Pidgeot set up, got Hydreigon set up. I Obsidian early, and I go, I don't even remember the 3, but I want to say it was like, I end up taking out all the Dreepies on the board. And at that point, I'm like, all your Dreepies are gone. I was like, it's going to be hard to set them up, because you can't get a Dragapult out quicker than I can just Obsidian it dead. So at that point, I was kind of like, after the first Obsidian, I was just kind of knew you're never going to get back set up enough to knock me out. So pretty much rolled that matchup. And then my round 3, it was Guardy. And it was like, we were joking, going, but it ends up going to time. I'm pretty much set up at one point. I don't remember the exact prize trade, but I end up going, I think I went Guardy for knockout. I end up just crashing Headbutt. He has 1 Guardy, and then he's got, I believe it's a route, so I'm like, he's got to hit a lot to get another Guardy set up. And he has like Screamtail on it, Screamtail there loaded up with some energy. So I go knock out his Guardy and crashing Headbutt for knockout, mill 3. I don't think I hit anything crazy off the crashing Headbutt, but then we keep going. I end up Obsidianing, knocking out. I want to say I go double Monkey and then something else. I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have been Screamtail. It might have been, it was either Screamtail or some other attacker. It wasn't his other routes if I remember correctly. But knocked those out because I was like, I just don't want damage to get moved. And then Monkey, then that just makes something else you have to set up, because you have to set up Monkey, Drifloon, Barrier Charm. You got to set up a lot to come and get a return knockout in my book. So end up doing that. We end up going to time. His final turn, he ends up, he doesn't really have enough. That last turn with the double Monkey knockout was my first turn in time. So that was, I believe, turn 1, because he was turn 0. And then turn 2 goes, he's just kind of goes for a stall. He tries to bring up my other Hydreigon to try to stop me, and then I just, Artizone, check my deck, make sure everything's there, and then I go Nest Ball, Petch, boom. And I call Obsidian just because, flex Obsidian rather than crashing Headbutt on your Guardy. Because he did push up Guardy because I was just at 1 prize, so it was all good. And then round 4, I ID, but it was Joltik Box. We play the matchup for fun. Once again, I didn't start Klefki, but I end up going first because I was like, we're both basically just going to roll to see who goes second. And then I go second, and then I go first, and I have a Buddy in hand, so I Buddy. I think I had Energy. I think I go Energy attached to Dino, retreat, bring up Klefki, and Miraidon start. You just can't get going. Like, you can't Miraidon for anything. And I was like, well, I end up playing my hand down to like 2 or 3 cards, but I just keep living with it because I'm like, I don't want to Iono and just give you life right now. But I end up Obsidian twice, Miraidon. Oh, I hit Pikachu. He pushes up Pikachu. I go Pikachu, Miraidon, some other attacker. I want to say it's either Iron Hands or something, because I finally had broken the lock at some point, the Klefki. And then I Obsidian, or I think I go Miraidon, Pikachu, something else. I don't even remember, I think it was Pikachu, Miraidon, Latias, and then I go, boom, I end up going again, and I'm like, hey, like one of my Obsidians, I say, put the damage on Pikachu, it doesn't do anything, but it was a benched Pikachu. But end up winning that, And then round 5, ID again. We didn't even play it. We just kind of deck sorted, and it was a Flareon matchup. So I was curious how that one would have worked out. That's kind of scary in my mind, just because it's hard to set up a Hydreigon as is, much less you put it back in my deck and I have to set it up again. But going to top cut, play Dragapult, Dusknoir, and game 1, like I pretty much just brick and I'm dead drawing for a while. I get Badoo locked. He ends up going second, and I'm just getting Badooed. And I really just can't. I never get a Hydreigon set up. I end up putting Maractus up. I'm taking prizes with Maractus, which is just bad. I don't know if it's that. I think it's the next game where I actually make probably a decent misplay, but I never really thought to pull out the Clefairy and just try to return knockout with the Clefairy, because in theory, Clefairy is pretty easy to power up with counter gain. Like, you just go Clefairy, counter gain, energy, boom. But it just never really crossed my mind, because I was just like, oh my God, I was like, this is just not going to work. My biggest struggle is probably seeing like, okay, now that I can't get a Hydreigon set up, what's my alternative line? So that was just really rough. And then game 2, I end up going second. I get the Badoo lock. He ends up getting a decent setup, so it's kind of like, he's just going to see more cards. Like, he goes, gets Double Dreepy down, gets Duskull, gets some. I don't even think he gets Duskull started at the start, but he just kind of goes Double Dreepy, and then second turn, Double Loke, and then he's just going through his deck. He's seeing all the cards he wants. He makes a pretty big misplay. He kind of has, like, he Ultra Balls for Dragloat, for Pulse, and then he ends up Ionoing, and he, like, drops the Iono, takes his hand off it, and then he's like, oh, wait, and then he, like, picks it up, and I'm like, you played the card. I'm like, I'm just, like, I don't have a lot here, but, I'm not going to let you just take that back. So we Iono, kind of get a little luck, because he had stamped, and then he Ionos mistakenly. He was trying to play more before he Ionoed, but kind of brings me back from the 2-card hand to like a 6-card hand, and then there's a little life, and then I end up getting 1 knockout with Clefairy, but it was just it was nothing. There was never enough. It was like I think I kind of got burned there, because I had Petch in hand and Dino, and I started Dino and then got Badooed. So it was 20, and then it made like an easy knockout later, so he could just Dusclops him dead. And so I was like, frick. I was like, this is just terrible way to end. But went into cut as the first seed, so finished 5th. Can't be mad. Definitely thought I was going to be going home early. Played a bad deck. Not a bad deck, but not the best deck, just because I thought I was going to miss cut potentially, and YouTube voted on it. So, figured I would see how that goes. Went better than I thought. Very much enjoy the deck. I would like to play Hydreigon one more time, at least to probably one more cup before next rotation, just before Shaman drops. The 1 cut I think I would make, dropping the Blood Moon. The Blood Moon, I feel like, I'd rather Obsidian for game, or like the plan is to just get the Obsidians. I haven't got, I've played 5 plus 3, so 7, like 9 games total, and then I would say 10 if you count 11 total games if you count the best of 3 as 2 games, but 11 total rounds maybe is what you want to call it. I don't know, but Blood Moon has never come up. It seems bad. It doesn't seem bad. I think based on that Dragapult Dusknoir matchup, I'd probably go with like a TM Evo, so that way under item lock, if I'm not able to do anything, at least I can Evo, and like I think just getting a Hydreigon up as quick as possible is nice, and then thinning those 2, whether it's Pidgeotto or 2 Zweilous out of the deck is just nice, because at some point it just feels like, okay, I need to get cards out of my deck because I'm not going to draw through my whole deck. And I'm basically, at some point I'm spamming Ionos. So just kind of my thoughts. Overall, good cup. Would play the deck again. We'll see. I'd like to play it one more time before Destined Rivals. Can't play it. Probably not playing that to NAIC if I did play it. But hope you enjoyed. Peace. Hope the Hydreigon enjoyers, like the list, and they, hopefully y'all find a good list you like and can play it.